Lust is one of the most misunderstood experiences in human life. People suppress it, hide it, feel ashamed of it, or run blindly after it. But few ever pause to look into it. Lust is not your enemy. It is a messenger. It is trying to show you something about yourself that you have not yet had the courage to face. Lust says you are alive. Something in you is burning. Something in you is longing to expand, to connect, to dissolve. But you have been taught to fear this fire instead of understanding its purpose. When lust arises, you immediately think it is about the body of another person. But if you look carefully, you will see that the person is only a trigger, not the source. The source is inside you. The energy comes from your own life force. The other is just a mirror in which you see a forgotten part of yourself. You chase the mirror, but the treasure is inside. Lust is your own energy knocking on the door, asking to be recognized. Lust is a signal, not a sin. It points towards something deeper within you. The moment it rises, something ancient and powerful is speaking from the core of your being. But you have been conditioned to judge it, to label it, to push it into the shadows. Because of this fear, you never hear its true message. Lust is not asking for your condemnation, it is asking for your attention. It is simply an expression of life energy trying to move, trying to flow, trying to find a direction. When you misunderstand this movement, it becomes shame, guilt, or obsession. When you understand it, it becomes clarity. Lust appears like a fire, but fire is not dangerous unless you handle it blindly. The flame itself is neutral. It can burn your house or warm your home. It depends on how conscious you are. In the same way, lust only becomes destructive when you meet it with ignorance. If you meet it with awareness, it becomes a doorway into your own depths. Every time lust arises, it is showing you a part of yourself that has been neglected or forgotten. It is pointing toward longing for connection, for union, for fulfillment. But the world has taught you to look outward, so you chase bodies while the real desire remains untouched. Lust is like a knock on the door of your inner world. It says, "Look here. Something in you wants to be acknowledged." But instead of listening, you run toward the outside object, believing that the feeling is about someone else. You don't realize that the person you desire is only a screen on which your own energy is projected. The attraction is not toward them, it is toward an unexpressed dimension of yourself. Lust signals that there is a stored energy, a hidden possibility, a dormant passion waiting to be awakened. If you ignore the signal, you fall into craving. If you observe it, you discover a whole landscape within you. People label lust as sinful because they are afraid of their own intensity. They mistrust their inner fire. They think the body is an enemy, the senses are dangerous, and desire is a trap. But the real trap is unconsciousness. Lust is not your downfall. Your avoidance of self-understanding is. The moment you start to observe lust without judgment, you see that it is not dirty, not violent, not immoral. It is simply energy, pure, raw, vibrant. What you do with it determines its quality. When you suppress it, it becomes frustration. When you indulge blindly, it becomes addiction. When you watch it, it becomes transformation. Lust points toward a deeper desire to dissolve into something larger than yourself. It hints at the human longing to merge, to unite, to go beyond separation. This is why lust is so powerful. It carries the seed of transcendence. In the body, it appears as desire. In the psyche, it becomes longing. In the soul, it becomes meditation. Lust is the beginning of a journey inward. It is trying to show you that beneath the physical yearning lies an emotional hunger, Beneath the emotional hunger lies a spiritual thirst. And beneath the spiritual thirst lies your own forgotten vastness. When you stop seeing lust as a sin, you stop fighting with yourself. When you see it as a signal, you start learning from it. And in that learning, you discover that lust is not your enemy. It is the first invitation to explore who you truly are. Desire becomes destructive only when it is unconscious. Desire itself is not the problem. It is one of the most natural movements of human energy. You were born with it, shaped by it, animated through it. Without desire, nothing would grow, nothing would evolve, nothing would inspire you to move forward. Desire is simply life expressing its intention through you. But the moment you become unaware of it, when you follow it blindly, compulsively, automatically, it turns into a force that begins to control you rather than serve you. Unconscious desire is like driving a powerful vehicle with your eyes closed. The danger is not in the vehicle but in the blindness. When desire rises without awareness, it turns into craving. Craving has no intelligence. It only knows how to repeat itself. It wants more and more, even when you are full, even when it hurts you, even when it empties you. You do not choose craving, craving chooses you. It hijacks your decisions, your attention, your energy. You begin to live in a state of constant pursuit, always chasing something just out of reach. And the more you chase, the more distant fulfillment becomes. This is how unconscious desire becomes destructive, not because the object of desire is wrong, but because the desiring itself is happening in darkness. When you are not aware of your desires, you become vulnerable to manipulation. Society, advertising, culture, and even other people can plant desires in you that were never your own. You start wanting things because others want them, because they are fashionable, because you were conditioned to believe they will make you happy. But these desires do not arise from your own being, they are borrowed. And anything borrowed cannot nourish you. You spend your life chasing shadows and wonder why the hunger never disappears. The destruction is subtle but deep. You lose connection with your authentic self. Unconscious desire also leads to conflict. You want something but you don't understand why. You pursue someone but you never examine the need underneath the attraction. You grab opportunities without asking whether they align with your truth. Then, when things fall apart, you blame fate or others, not realizing the chaos was born from your own unexamined impulses. Inner confusion eventually becomes outer conflict. The energy of unconscious desire is restless, impatient, urgent. It makes you feel as if life is running out, as if you must grasp everything quickly before it slips away. In that hurry, you destroy your own peace. But when awareness enters desire, everything changes. You begin to watch the rising of longing without immediately reacting. You see its texture, its intensity, its pull. You ask, why do I want this? What need is hiding underneath? Is this desire coming from fear, loneliness, ego, or genuine expansion? This clarity does not suppress desire, it illuminates it. And in illumination, desire becomes wise. It stops dragging you and starts guiding you. Desire with awareness becomes creativity, passion, inspiration. It becomes a bridge to new possibilities instead of a chain that binds you. The energy remains the same, but now it moves with direction and purpose. You are no longer a prisoner of your impulses. You become the master of them. What you chase outwardly is often a reflection of an inner emptiness. Human beings are constantly running. After people, after success, after attention, after pleasure, after validation. The world becomes a marketplace of desires, and everyone is bargaining for something they believe will finally make them whole. But most people never stop to realize that the intensity of their pursuit is not produced by the object they are chasing, It is produced by the emptiness inside them. The outside becomes a screen onto which they project the longing they refuse to face within themselves. You run behind shadows because you are afraid to sit with your own silence. Whenever you feel an uncontrollable attraction toward something or someone, it is worth pausing for a moment. That pull is not always about the external object. Often it is a signal that something inside you feels incomplete, unresolved, or unrecognized. The outer chase is just an attempt to fill that inner gap. You think a new relationship will give you love, a new achievement will give you worth, a new possession will give you significance. But anything coming from the outside can only give you temporary satisfaction because the root of your hunger does not lie in the external world. It lies in the unhealed corners of your inner space. People pursue approval because deep inside they feel unseen. They pursue power because deep inside they feel helpless. They run after pleasure because deep inside they feel a lack of joy. They chase perfection because deep inside they feel unworthy. The world outside becomes a mirror reflecting their inner wounds. What you run toward tells the truth of what you are running away from. But the mind is clever. It disguises this inner emptiness with goals, dreams, fantasies, achievements. It convinces you that something out there will solve everything in here. And so the chase continues endlessly. The tragedy is that the more you run outward, the more disconnected you become from yourself. The outer chase becomes a distraction from the inner inquiry. It keeps you busy, restless, occupied, constantly moving, constantly desiring. In that movement, you lose the opportunity to face the silence of your own being. And it is only in that silence that you can see what is truly missing. Emptiness is not dangerous, ignoring it is. When you refuse to look at it, you become a slave to external pursuits. When you finally sit with it, it becomes a doorway to understanding. Every outer chase has a corresponding inner story. When you are conscious, you can read that story. You can see that the person who obsesses over relationships is not craving another body, they are craving connection with themselves. The one who pursues wealth endlessly is not hungry for money, they are hungry for security within their own heart. The one who constantly seeks admiration is not hungry for praise, they are hungry for self-acceptance. Recognizing this pattern breaks the illusion of the chase. Once you understand that the external world is not responsible for your internal state, you stop demanding from life what you have refused to give yourself. You realize that no amount of running will fill the emptiness. Only awareness will. And in that awareness, the chase slowly dissolves, revealing the inner richness that was hidden behind your longing. Lust transforms into love when awareness enters desire. Lust on its own is raw, blind, and restless. It rushes toward the object of its longing without understanding its true purpose. It is an explosion of energy that wants to merge, to dissolve, to experience intensity. But without awareness, this energy remains chaotic. It burns quickly, it fades quickly, and it leaves you with a sense of incompleteness. Lust is like a storm. It shakes you, excites you, overwhelms you, but it does not give you roots. It comes from the surface layers of your being, from instinct, from biological memory, from unconscious longing. And anything born in darkness can only lead you further into darkness unless you bring light to it. Awareness is that light. The moment you become aware of your desire, truly aware, without judgment, without fear, without repression, something magical happens. You begin to see desire not as a command but as an energy. You no longer react, you observe. You no longer rush outward, you turn inward. Awareness slows the fire, softens it, purifies it. It allows you to feel without being consumed. In that spaciousness, lust loses its aggressiveness and becomes tenderness. The same intensity that once made you restless now becomes a doorway into intimacy. Love begins where unconsciousness ends. When you look at another person through the lens of lust, you see them as an object that can satisfy your yearning. They become a means to your pleasure, a tool for your longing. But when awareness enters, you begin to see the other as a living, breathing, vulnerable being, just like you. They are no longer a target of your desire, but a presence you wish to understand, honor, and connect with. Awareness humanizes the other. It turns possession into appreciation, craving into compassion, hunger into harmony. In awareness, desire slows enough for you to see the deeper layers beneath it. Beneath lust, there is longing. Beneath longing, there is love. And beneath love, there is a profound desire for union, not just with the person, but with existence itself. Lust wants the body, love wants the soul. Lust consumes, love nourishes. Lust demands, love gives. But this transformation is not a moral shift. It is an energetic one. When you bring consciousness into desire, you refine it. You lift it from the lower centers of your being to the higher ones. The same energy rises, becomes light, becomes sensitive, becomes aware. This is why love feels peaceful even in intensity, while lust feels chaotic even in pleasure. Love has clarity, lust has urgency. Lust can exist without understanding, but love cannot. Love needs presence. It needs the courage to be vulnerable, the willingness to see yourself and the other clearly. Awareness creates this courage. It gives you the inner stillness required to feel deeply without losing yourself. When your desire is no longer rooted in lack but in fullness, it ceases to be lust and becomes love. The transformation is not something you force. It happens naturally when you meet your own longing with consciousness. Then desire becomes a path, a meditation, a celebration. It becomes a union that enriches rather than empties you, because awareness has turned your fire into light. Understanding your longing reveals your true nature. Longing is not an accidental feeling, it is a compass that points you back toward the center of your being. Every desire, every ache, every sense of incompleteness carries within it a message about who you are beneath your conditioning. But most people fight their longing or escape from it. They distract themselves, suppress the ache, or chase something outside that temporarily dulls it. They never sit with it long enough to hear its whisper. Longing is not your enemy. It is the most honest part of you, the part that has not been corrupted by fear, society, or expectation. It is the voice of your deeper self trying to guide you toward your own essence. Whenever longing appears, it is easy to misinterpret it as a desire for something external. Another person, a new experience, a different situation. But if you look closely, you will notice that the longing is not for the object itself. The object is only a symbol, a projection. What you truly long for is an inner state, connection, peace, expansion, intimacy, wholeness. The outer world becomes the screen on which these inner desires are projected. But the real movement is always inward. Longing is a reminder that something within you has not yet unfolded, something is waiting to be recognized. When you dare to sit with your longing without escaping into action or distraction, it begins to reveal its layers. You may discover that beneath your longing for love lies a desire to express your own tenderness. Beneath your longing for attention lies a desire to be seen by yourself. Beneath your longing for success lies a desire to recognize your own capabilities. Longing always points to a part of you that is still asleep. It shows you where your growth is calling from. Instead of suppressing the feeling, if you move into it consciously, It becomes a doorway to self-discovery. Longing also reveals the gap between who you have become and who you truly are. The distance between your conditioned self and your authentic self creates the ache you feel. Whenever your life drifts away from your truth, longing appears as a signal. It says, "Come back home." This is why even after reaching goals, achieving dreams, or receiving love, people still feel something missing. The missing piece is not outside, it is the unexpressed, unlived part of their own being. Longing exposes this gap, not to hurt you, but to guide you toward alignment. As you become more aware of your longing, you begin to see that it carries wisdom. It does not push you toward restlessness. It invites you toward deeper understanding. It asks you to explore what truly matters, not what you were told to want, but what your soul actually seeks. In this exploration, you begin to recognize your true nature, spacious, sensitive, aware, alive. You realize that longing is the pull of your inner freedom, the call of your highest potential, the invitation of your own consciousness to expand beyond the limitations you have accepted as yourself. Understanding longing is understanding your life force. It is understanding the movement of your own being. And the moment you truly listen to your longing, you begin to return to your authentic nature. Lust, desire, longing, and the chase for fulfillment are not separate forces pulling you in different directions. They are expressions of the same inner energy trying to wake you up. Lust is the first spark of that energy, raw and urgent. Desire is its movement, searching for expression. The outward chase reveals the emptiness you have avoided within yourself. And longing, the most subtle form of this energy, points directly to your essence. All of these experiences become destructive only when you live them unconsciously, reacting without understanding, running without looking inward. But the moment awareness enters, everything shifts. Lust softens into love, desire transforms into clarity, emptiness becomes a doorway, and longing becomes guidance. Awareness is the alchemy that turns your restless energy into a path of inner discovery. It reconnects you with the parts of yourself you abandoned, revealing that everything you seeking outside was a reflection of what you had not yet seen within. When you understand this, you no longer fear your intensity. You use it to awaken. The journey is not about eliminating your impulses, but about illuminating them. And through that illumination, you return to your true nature, whole, conscious, and profoundly alive.